Alright, what's going on, guys? How's it going? I just wanted to talk about a project that I tried recently called XeroLinux and give my thoughts on that. Obviously, I've moved back to Vanilla Arch. That's not throwing shade at XeroLinux. Um, XeroLinux is pretty cool, so let me give you a brief overview of what the project is. So we're here on their website here. XeroLinux XeroLinux represents an innovative Arch-based distribution designed to demystify the installation process while preserving the core principles of user-driven customization. The distribution offers a thoughtful approach to Linux that balances accessibility with the renowned flexibility of Arch Linux. Now, so what XeroLinux does is obvious. It kind of does like the almost stereotypical thing now, where it's basically Arch made easy, right? But they do offer a lot of cool tools. The XeroLinux Toolkit GUI application that they've come out with, it used to be a command line thing. They recently came out with a GUI tool in their most recent release. Um, Offers a lot of cool stuff. Um, can do everything from, basic like Pac-Man management, clearing cache and stuff like that, all the way up to easily setting up VMs, that sort of thing. Um, it's got a lot of one-click tools for installing gaming packages. Basically, it's kind of like if you've used CachyOS and you've used CachyOS Hello, it's kind of like CachyOS Hello, but it's got even um, more stuff in there that you can easily one-click install and set up. Big one for me was the VM stuff. I thought that was pretty cool because setting up virtual machines on Linux can be a pain in the ass, especially if you want to, you know, actually do anything more than very basic stuff with them. So, um, moving on from that, let's see if we can find. Let's see if we can go to their wiki. Huh. Apparently did they update this? I think they did. I don't feel like this was here before. Okay, so I think this is new. Let's check this out. We're gonna turn that way the fuck down. What's the date on this? 20 hours ago, so this is new.
Hello and welcome back to another XeroLinux video. Today is going to be a very special announcement. But before we start, let me remind you that
Now this is Dark Zero. This is the guy who heads the project. He's a really cool dude. I was working with him on making a theme for XeroLinux, which has kinda fallen through. Just because it's been proven more difficult to port the theme to XeroLinux than either one of us anticipated. So we're hoping. Well, he requested that I make a video detailing how to get it set up on KDE, which I will be doing. I'm probably gonna have to get a new ISO from him, but that'll be probably my next Zero Linux video will be about that theme. I just wanted to talk more about the project itself here. Right now we are gonna, and yes, we are not talking about the fact that I'm on Hyperland right now. That is going to be an entirely separate video. I will need like at least half an hour of time to talk about that. So, um, but yeah, I have, at least for the time being, switched to Hyperland.
Currently running a fundraiser to reach the 500, a monthly fundraiser to raise the 500 euros that would help me pay for hosting, VPSs, and everything in between every month. And if you like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and hit the bell, of course, to get notified. With that said, let's get into it. What is the subject of today's video? I've been working very, very hard on a project behind the scenes that will finally allow you to get XeroLinux free of charge. Yes, you don't need to use a demo. You don't need to donate to download the ISO, but it comes with extra effort. What do I mean by extra effort? Well,
And that was something that I was going to lead into also with this video because I've, it's kind of been a part of the reason why I've been dragging my feet on making this review is because like I really like Dark Zero like as a person. He's a cool dude. Um, and Zero Linux is a really cool project, but the biggest thing for me, and I under like especially after talking to him, and I'm not going to go into his private situation or whatever, but like I completely understand why he's pushing for donations for ISOs. Um, Simultaneously, it is difficult for me to recommend Zero Linux to anyone, or at least it was difficult for me to recommend Zero Linux to anyone conflict free, right? Because there are projects out there. I mean, granted, like I think the biggest draw about Zero Linux is the themes that you can get. Like you don't have to. They've got some very very nice themes, like the Zero Linux Leon theme is very nice. There's going to be obviously detailed instructions for my KDE setup that are going to be coming for Zero Linux. Um, I actually have like a GitHub repo for my dot files for Zero Linux already set up. Um, and yeah, like that's the biggest thing. That and the tools that they bring to the table are pretty cool. And he's done some fantastic work. I'm not saying like I don't think that he deserves to get donated to or doesn't deserve to make the money. I think what my point is that it's kind of a tough sell because it's like, well, you've got Zero Linux and it's great, but you've also got distros like CashOS that are also very user friendly, um, you know, and offer a lot of tools out of the box and it's free. So it's like, how do you convince, coming at it from the perspective of a new user, it's like, well, one hand or the other, right? So it's really great news to me personally that he's come out with this script and he's been working on this because this gives people an alternative way to install the distro. And if they don't want to pay that $15 fee, um, he asks for donations for his ISOs because maintaining Arch ISOs are a lot of work, and he's one guy, and resources are limited type of thing. So Um, it's completely understandable, and a lot of people like to make a big fuss about it, but I completely get why he's doing it. But I could also completely understand why it might be a tough sell to new users. So the fact that he's come up with this is really great news because it gives people an alternative path, and with that it makes recommending XeroLinux a whole different ballgame. So let's continue on. This is a 15-minute video. I'm probably not going to watch the whole thing, but we're going to
I heard you
see if we can
guys.
get more into the
Not
points.
everyone can donate to get the ice. So I came up with an idea to create an install script that will allow you to install Zero Linux starting from the Arch ISO. All you have to do is boot the Arch ISO, run one command, go through the prompts, and let it do its thing. Simple as that. Not very complicated. But if you're afraid of terminal and you prefer to grab the ISO, then you'll have to donate. But I like to offer options. I don't like to leave you stranded. And a lot of people voiced their concerns that I'm not giving you an option to get XeroLinux for free. So I created something that will allow you to do that. It's an amazing script. I've been working tirelessly on it for the past week, almost sleepless nights, just to get it out the gate. Now, with that lengthy introduction out of the way, let's get into it. What is the Zero Linux installers? I have created a wiki and
Okay, we can go over this ourselves. I'm not gonna. All right, so yeah, I mean that's great news. Project's currently in beta, and this actually might be a more viable option for me too, because one of my biggest complaints about XeroLinux was that it didn't support uh, ButterFS, and I do like to have ButterFS. I know a lot of people, love XFS and ext4. I do like ButterFS and snapshots and compression and stuff and the stuff that file system offers, and so that was kind of a wasn't the end of the world, you know what I mean? But I do like that this gives people at least a way to have ButterFS because um, that's nice. So this script is pretty cool. I will definitely have to try this out at some point. So yeah, this is really great news, man. Dark Zero, my proverbial hat is off to you, sir. Um, this really changes the ball game, and kind of like is in real time changing my perspective on the project as a whole. Um, yeah, I mean it's definitely 100% something that I would recommend now. Um, before my verdict before was I still recommend the project, um, but there are these couple caveats that people need to be aware of. But now with this, like um, it's a completely viable solution. Um, you know, you could have this script, and who knows, like this could be a really big turnaround for the not turnaround, but a really big incentive for people to give it a shake. People who were on the fence about the donations before. Um, so yeah, that's it's really great news indeed. So yeah, they offer all these tools. They've got some themes, like I said, that they offer that you can get. Zero. So let's show some of these races that they have. So this is the Land rice here. It's very nice. I do like the frosted glass look. And they've got the and as you can see, he's got my KDE tiling special here, contributed by me. He's waiting on me to make the video. I guess I should get on that. But yeah, I mean he's got a couple themes here. We're gonna be providing that instruction video for this. So if you're especially if you like want a KDE Plasma environment that like looks really good out of the box, and you don't want to have to learn how to tinker or theme KDE yourself, and just want to have a aesthetically pleasing Plasma environment out of the box, XeroLinux is great for that because it has the LAN theme installed by default, um, at least in the ISO version. I'm not sure. I think you have to run what I was reading there. You have to run a separate command to get Plasma theme that way with the installation scripts. But yeah, um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I don't know what else to go over. I guess I would add their repo and show off more with the toolkit about what they got there more specifically. But that's probably gonna have to wait for when I do my next setup on Plasma for it. Um, I'm probably gonna just go in depth with that um, when I switch over to Plasma to do the video on the theme. So that's probably when I'll do that. I'll show off more on the toolkit there. It's got a lot of cool tools, and with this installation script, like there's really no reason to not give XeroLinux a shot, especially if you're you know looking for something a little bit different than CachyOS or Endeavor. It definitely stands out project-wise versus the dozens of other nameless Arch-based distros. So I had a really good time with it. The major reason I switched back to vanilla Arch is I just prefer a leaner system, and the the big thing with XeroLinux is he has it set up to install a lot of stuff comes pre-installed just to make users' lives better and to make users not have to worry about installing like miscellaneous tools. Um, and I prefer to have my system a little bit leaner than that. So and I wanted to do my thing with building Hyperland and stuff like that. And so yeah, um, that's how I ended up going with that. Actually, I'm thinking about what I'm thinking about now is maybe well we could talk a little bit about, and I'm going to touch base with him about this. Maybe an alternative idea. And obviously this is just me. I have no idea how he's going to feel about it. But maybe we could come up with like a XeroLinux Hyperland edition. You know what I mean? That would be cool, right? Um, do a tiling special. Uh, do like a proper Hyperland setup because I feel like he wants something that's easy to install for users. So, and that was the entire point of like making an install setup. So maybe I think it would be more straightforward to do something like that with Hyperland because everything's config file based and it's all very very integrated into the file system. With KDE, you have to do some. I mean, you can copy over certain files and like bring stuff in, but you have to do things in a very specific order. It doesn't work, um, and that's kind of what makes it difficult to bring my KDE themes to an installable script, because of just how complex they are. Um, but Hyperland is kind of like centered on being uh, easily portable. You know, you can literally just copy your config. Basically, you can just go in, copy your hyper folder, copy your shell folder, and then you can go do a fresh install of Hyperland on another system, drop those files in, make sure your shell package is installed, and boom, you know, you're pretty much there. Um, so maybe we can talk about that. I don't know how he's going to feel about that. I know he's very much pro KDE like I am. So um, I don't know if he'd even be willing to mess with the idea of Hyperland. But I mean, it would definitely get the project some attention too, because Hyperland obviously is very popular right now. So I don't know. It's something to think about, something to talk to him about, and go further with that and see what maybe the best approach is. Either way, you can look forward to me making a video about whichever way that blows, whether I end up doing a plasma oriented video, or if he's receptive to the idea of maybe um, porting a porting a Hyperland uh, setup. So we'll see. Um, but yeah, I definitely think you guys should check out this project. Like I said, if you don't want to donate to the ISO, you know, you've got these install scripts. You can easily do it from an Arch ISO. You just literally follow what it says there on his wiki. It seemed pretty straightforward. It's just bash commands that you copy, paste, or type in. Um, or hey, like donate $15, get an ISO. Um, it goes to a worthy cause. Like, he's a great dude. He's he's kind of he's got a heavy workload with his project, and has other stuff going on because of where he lives and stuff that makes it difficult for him. So definitely, like, if you've got the scratch to spare to help dude out and get yourself an ISO about, I do not see a problem doing it. It'd be a really good thing, and help him continue doing his good work over there. But either way, I definitely think people should check out the project because it is a pretty cool Arch distro. It's not just some, uh, basic, oh, we made Arch with an installer type project. Like, he's put a lot of work into it. So let me know what you guys think, and uh, I'm gonna get off here and go hit him up in a DM. So I will be back with another video soon. Thanks for watching.